Hello and welcome to this Profit Protector Pro video. So today I'm going to share with you my top 3 tips for setting a good minimum price. Now this is important just the same as setting your maximum price, because these are the parameters that the repricer is going to work with when it actually performs repricing. So it's going to move between your set minimum and maximum. So it's very important and can help the strategies as well if you have got a good solid maximum price and minimum price set. Now I did a video not too long ago about the max price and tips for setting a good max price. Now we're going to look at the minimum price. So tip number 1, you don't want the buy box to be outside of your min and max parameters. Now this was something that I shared with you in the max price video, but it's important for your minimum as well that the buy box is not below your minimum. In order for Profit Protector Pro to compete most effectively, it needs the buy box to be within your set parameters. That way it can compete for the buy box, it can go just underneath it and it can move it up within those set parameters. So obviously, Profit Protector Pro is not going to reprice below your minimum or above your maximum. So you need to make sure that the minimum and maximum compensate for the buy box and you have it within your set parameters. If the buy box does fall below your minimum, Profit Protector Pro will most likely sit at your minimum, as that is as close as it can be to the buy box without going outside your minimum price range. So you need to make sure that the buy box is within those set parameters. Now tip number 2, you need to make sure that your minimum and maximum prices, and particularly your minimum, remains relevant. So what you want with this is, if the buy box does fall below your minimum, you need to keep an eye on this. So this is something that you might make a habit out of, every other week or something like that, just to check the buy box below minimum filter, which is this one here. So buy box below minimum, select that, apply the filter, and it will show you all of the ASINs that meet that criteria. So the reason why this is important is because, obviously, as I say, you need the buy box to be within your parameters in order for Profit Protector Pro to compete effectively. Now things can naturally change on a listing whereby the price ranges move, or it could be that a particular seller that you're competing with will win the buy box, but then move the price down below your minimum. And if things like that keep happening, it may be worth adjusting your minimum. If the pricing naturally shifts on the listing below your minimum price, then it's worth adjusting it anyway in order to compensate for that. So if that is the case on any of your listings, it's worth using that filter to find out which ones, and you can readjust your minimum to make sure that Profit Protector Pro is competing as effectively as it can. Don't worry if things do shift on a listing, if pricing does shift and you need to readjust your minimum and maximum. This can be a normal occurrence. As we know, things on Amazon change all the time. So it's worth keeping an eye on that particular filter. It's also worth noting that you need to keep your minimum price above your break-even. So as we know, your break-even price is the price whereby if you sold for that particular price, you wouldn't be making a profit nor a loss. And obviously we're in the game to make a profit. So if you set your minimum as your break-even price is, if you set that the same and you sell at your minimum, then obviously you're not going to be making a profit nor a loss. So you need to make sure that your minimum is above your break-even price to ensure that you make a profit. You also want to make sure that your minimum price is a price that you're happy to sell at. So if Profit Protector Pro did move down to your minimum and you made sales at that price, it still needs to be a price that you are happy to sell at. Now, if you are still struggling with setting your minimum price, my final tip is to look at the strategies within Profit Protector Pro. So strategies explained, and some of them will give you advice on how best to set your minimum price in order for Profit Protector Pro to compete effectively. So for example, the Super Aggressive Dominator advises setting your minimum price at least £1 or $1 cheaper than the buy box price to give Profit Protector Pro enough room to go just underneath in order to scoop up the buy box, and then it will work to move the price up. So don't worry if you set a minimum that is below the buy box, because sometimes that might be your thinking. If you're setting your minimum to be exactly the same as the buy box or above, don't worry that you have to do this, that you have to set it at least £1 or $1 cheaper than the buy box. It just means that the buy box is within your parameters and it gives the software enough room, in order to work on that buy box, win it, and then it will always work to push the price up as best as it can. It is doing the complete opposite of tanking the listing. It's doing its very best to raise the price to make you even more money. And this is what you'll be able to see on the Profit Protector Pro Boost on the dashboard section. So this is additional profit that Profit Protector Pro has helped you make, whether it's a couple of pennies, whether it's a few pounds, whether it's more than that. It will all get taken into account in the Profit Protector Pro Boost, and you can see how much the software is helping you. So those are my tips for setting minimum prices for your items in Profit Protector Pro. Again, you can do this individually per item on the repricing page. You can do this via bulk inventory CSV, or you can use the auto min max function to get Profit Protector Pro to calculate the minimum and maximum, as well as the break even based on the rules that you have set. Hopefully this video was helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.